Square, 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 square. Square, square, square. Square, 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 square.
You shitbag!
Alright, so
Brainless fool!
I'm gonna come up with a topic. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a good topic. Just drink some water. It's delicious. Delicious water. Alright. So, yeah. There is a topic that I'm gonna come up with. It's gonna be a good topic of some sort, and it's gonna be good, I think. Alright, let's see here. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something non-invasive. It's something that people can get behind, you know? So. So, alright, man. Here we go. There is a big thing. Let's see here. A big point of reference. That I get most of my topics from. It has a lot to do with my imagination, but it also has a lot to do with the scientific method, I think. Let's see, though having a lot to do with, what people would call, I guess real, not just investigative, but, yes. I knew there was an end. But, I'd say that days go by and I think about big things, big subjects, and the reasons behind those big subjects, the reasons for certain people doing or having a big reason for something, but I don't believe that reason has to be bigger than you in order for you to believe in it. I mean, believing in that kind of, I'd say, what's the word? Believing in that kind of thing would send you reeling, I guess. Would I don't believe in what people would call peace. Sometimes I believe that there is a peaceful nature to things. I don't believe that there in a notion lies peace, because of the things probably that I've gone through. I believe in solace, and I believe in humility, I guess. And then through humility can create an era or a feeling of peace. But I don't believe in peace as a way of life, because through peace people would start to quell the storm in their mind, but not realize that that storm itself sometimes kept them going. That storm itself sometimes kept them thinking about what was going to happen next, or how things were going to happen, and they needed to be ready for it, and how they needed to be able to perform in a situation that called for them to be more than normal, or better than just a certain person. So, like, through, I'd say, what some people would believe is they think they call upon people who would believe that they have to calm the storm of their mind would believe that their emotions are not their own. And that in itself is not true. It's like a cell dividing. Within science, within its own nature, a cell dividing is because the cell wants to see more of itself. And through the cell constantly wanting to divide, wanting to constantly multiply, there are instances where we believe that we are more of ourselves but through a certain number or a certain aspect of our own what's the word, through a certain aspect of our own I'd say silliness. God dang it. We don't realize that that the more we divide, the more ourselves decide to take over something, or to find something, an idea that is bigger than ourselves, is to divide. Again, just to see a part of ourselves. That in itself is a way to take over an entire world, or a way to try to try to take over something, or to try to call something ourselves, I guess. People would insist that, oh no, it's divine order. It was meant to happen before anything happened, because those people existed before, then why don't they exist now? But I don't believe that people create things just to, I think that people themselves create things in order to break them down. We ourselves as cells, as a bunch of cells, don't realize our own what's the word,
that hurt.
We ourselves don't realize that through a series of idioms and proverbs lies our evolution. Through a series of whatever we believe in, as opposed to whatever someone else believes.
You hit me!
lies what we ourselves are able to acquire through just manipulation of self. And I know I don't want to sound like some sort of belief hogger, or like I believe in something and you don't believe in something. I myself, these are all personal opinions that I hold, and this is the thing that I believe in. I'm kind of unreligious in the same sense that I saw what people did while they were in religion, and I realized the idioms that make people do things that say that they're good in some ways are just opposites of, or are good or evil, are just opposites of what we call a psychological trope, or a psychological no, I don't want to say idiom, but a psychological metaphor. And that metaphor itself, as you're going through those thoughts or thought bubbles, or theological anything, you start to realize that through broken literature sometimes, or your own broken thoughts, you're coming up with something, a barrier. A barrier that that stops people from taking, or giving, or giving away, or multiplying too much, because we ourselves can wear our internal structure thin, to where sometimes we don't have any organs left to give, in some senses. I mean, not to say that, like, in order for one to have much, one must have little, so to speak, but not in an ecological sense, but in a what's the word, in a sociological sense, in a sense that that I myself want more for myself. Therefore, when it comes to the subject of someone else's psyche, I have little opinions left to give, because I do not know that person, or nor do I trust that person, nor am I able to give that person a sense of myself, or a sense of what I'm about, because they themselves don't trust my opinions as well. Individualistically speaking, it's like though we are united, we are also divided. And though they may say that a house cannot stand divided, we have two legs. They are divided, ourselves divided, and created legs. Some people may say that something that is divided has more stability, on a sense that it has more than just one thing, one pedestal, to be able to give itself in case someone is to knock it.
Hello, you speak English? Stop the goddamn vehicle. Oh shit, he's... Oh, God.
God dang it, I missed. But through those idioms and reckless abandon of American literature, or literature of any standpoint, of anything you think about when you look at a broken nature of a character, or any, like, realizing that if that character itself that you made up in your own mind had an individualistic structure of self, they themselves would either, like, take Deadpool for example, the character of Deadpool, the character of the being Deadpool, the thing that Deadpool is. He is, within himself,
I'll see it's put to use.
a structure of being that plays upon himself, insinuating that something is looking, whether or not that, insinuating that he knows what he is, that he knows how he is, a made-up character. Unfortunately, though, realizing that also through certain aspects, people have to understand that whenever they start to rub their parts together, I guess if they're male or female, or in some cases a spectrum of different genders, obviously, what people would have to understand is they start to make a character of their own. They start to make ideas. They start to make building blocks of life. And within that life, something is called their own structure, which divides and creates. There is no what's the word? There is no such thing as divine structure, I guess. Within that divine structure, within any structure, is the divineness of the temple, of the self. So within that self, or within that person, lies the anomalies that could have existed in someone's mind, as far as a structure being
Bullshit.
I don't know, a structure being led into a metaphorical fight, or struggle for power, and that in itself is the baby being born. The baby itself dividing to have enough structures to be able to impregnate. We ourselves divide. The idiom that, because it is an idiom, it is a philosophical understanding of structure itself, that any dividing of cells could create any variation other than what comes out. To divide, basically, creates a person, a structure, a cell. And that cell creates the building block of what a life is to, I don't know, not jump into, obviously, but is to inhabit for the unbeknownst future. We ourselves decided we wanted things. And as we decide we want things, people decide sometimes that they don't understand where they pull things or where they push things. Because as political standings happens to be, there are people themselves that would like to evolve the human cell into something that they would like to see, or like to know, or like to understand, or like to watch and study. Because with every character that we make, with every inference that we create about ourselves, with every infrastructure we kind of break down or build up, we start to make another divide. A creation of self. Though people would like to believe that everything has been done before, that every aspect of thing has been created because they don't want to believe themselves to be able to be the pinnacle of what they would call the pinnacle of what's the word? Of the pinnacle of the word immaculate, or and some people would actually call themselves that sometimes. The difference between the person that would call themselves that or the person that would not want to call themselves that is thought. Is a thought. Is an actual and real conceptuality of memory or practice. But also, I don't know what the fuck I just did. How the hell did I die? The hardware was abandoned. I don't want to exit mission while losing mission progress. Yes, I don't care. The realization that every thought we push around ourselves, or the realization that every thought that we push to be able to create or divide, or to create a family, or to create any sort of thing that we feel as though is going to happen. The thoughts that we incur, or the people that we create as a result, are all of the moments that we ourselves accumulate. The moments that we accumulate, like I myself remember the exact thought of me being inside of the womb. I remember flashes of it. I remember being inside of both of my parents, because it was both of them that made me. They're only flashes, but there are moments of clarity, I guess. Imprints that which make to be able to create a and that's the imprint. That there's no such thing as, like, you can't imprint on a bunch of ducks, because those ducks themselves are just looking. They're not. They're studying, they're creating, it's what they're doing, basically, all the time. Every animal that is within the food chain seeks and wishes to have an out. There will be one day when they are not eaten anymore. And within that day, do we exterminate them? Or do we befriend them? Some people would have you believe that we ourselves are not to be, what's the word?
Stir, you piece of shit!
But what are you eating on? The dog's eating on the frickin', they would have you believe that being befriended to animals would in turn create them to be more like us, or like comics and stuff would have you believe that that if you feed your blood to something, then that thing in turn becomes more like you. Actually, that thing does not become more like you; it becomes more ravenous. It is the insinuation that that by feeding something, does that thing become more like you, or to try to imprint on you. And through that imprintation, do people themselves become more of a backseater, or more of a teacher, and as far as life goes, instead of a doer? Do we reach or exceed or run into the evolutionary wall that we have created for ourselves, maybe in eons ago? And through that storytelling, I think that I'm gonna create something that's pretty cool.
Lucky miss.
And it's gonna be awesome. So, that in itself, do we run into that wall and get angry that we put ourselves in that position? What choices do we make? And moreover, what mature choices should we make in order to be able to realize that that wall is just an obstacle for us to be able to move past or move through? Or maybe even climb over once we get a rope. Because that's the point, is if someone gives you enough rope to hang yourself with, do you climb the rope and see what they had up top holding the rope? Or do you just look up to see what's up there? Instead of doing what the proverb says to do, instead of realizing the end of the proverb and then realizing that life goes on, understandably so, we evolutionarily change that answer of the proverb every time that we do something unplanned for or completely random. As you start to realize that there are what's going on? There's a square on the thing if you have a cord. There's a square downstairs by the hold on. It's right down under. Yeah, okay. Alright. Alright, well. Alright. I'm gonna get out of that. The more we start to give ourselves credit, the more we start to divide. The more ourselves start to create a reachable goal. The more we start to create something bigger than ourselves, the more we start to die. To be able to have control between the two, is probably the evolutionary thought that either no one thought of or everyone thought of at once and no one told anyone. To be able to exist forever, but continue to age. And not divide. Understandably, if you don't believe in dividing, then you yourself cells will continue to divide until your psyche takes over, and then you yourself will probably not be able to create cells to heal. Or do you continue to divide, but understandably so, for one organ, only divide in a certain manner? It's like a woman themselves being able to selectively induce fertilization. It is an evolutionary trait, no matter what people think it is. It is when a woman chooses her mate, that is when she is able to divide. When a woman is able to conceive is when she chooses to conceive. And that's the way that I hope that most women are able to do things now. Grinding. Although people themselves decidedly so make certain decisions that are unruly, I guess, sometimes. And within those decisions, they start to make a difference in their own evolutionary chain. And within that evolutionary chain, they themselves decide... Oh, God damn it. God dang it, no. Come on. I'm saying a bunch of the same words over and over again sometimes, but I just have to learn some different words, I guess, and that's where I think that I'll be able to create and make new sounding words, or be able to find someone that knows that all those vocabularies, or knows that vocabulary, or knows that euphemism or that method of speaking that can that is a little bit better than mine. Granted, I myself haven't really thought about language itself, because I don't know. I guess I thought that people themselves wouldn't. When I was younger, I didn't know that there were that many languages sometimes. I mean, I knew that there were that many languages, I just didn't know what they were. And through experience, I realized that there were a whole bunch of different languages that people spoke, and a lot of it still seems strange to me. It seems like they're natural noises that people made, that decidedly so they made meanings for. But also too, I think that, oh man, there's so many different people that exist, and I try to match up. That's what I do inside my own head. Whenever I hear a certain person speaking in a different tongue, I try to match up what words they're saying with what I hear in my own head as far as the language, or what words I have to switch around. I think basically that's what I think of sometimes. And it's like, I don't know, I'm always trying to learn, but I'm not always taking notes. It's just I kind of realized that those notes themselves should not be thrown away. I guess once I actively throw something away, I've tried for a long time now to be and for a really hard time to be mentally stable. Um
Dear Lord, are you all right?
I guess that um what I've been trying to do and how I've been trying to do it and it takes a lot for me to be able to be punctual sometimes, especially when I don't like what I'm doing, or if I don't adjust well to a to an environment. No, don't fall, don't go down. Yay, awesome. A lot of times I've been I farted. I've been wanting to build on something that I see that's educational, or something that I believe in. But also too, I know that that event itself sometimes might not make me money, you know? And I know that my mom is gonna always be around. Not to say that I believe in death or any different variation of the thought. But it's more that I believe in myself. It's more than I know what's going on now. I know it will change, because things always change. It has nothing to do with any government or anything like that that is or will be the any sort of world police or anything like that.
Whoa!
But the more I start to realize that behavior itself is to be, what's the word? Narrated and also noted. Not as in I have to write everything down or be a part of something that's just completely and utterly sound all the time, but believing that sound judgment is what makes a good economy. It's what makes a it's what makes a just market, and also documentation is what keeps that market around when people themselves want to build on something. That may not see the same things as other people. Also, building on that something is what makes an economy strong, and a people stronger every day. So, the more I build on what I want to see,
Dear! Oh, dear!
as far as my
dear.
content goes, or as far as my my story goes, and not a story that I'm living by any means, but a story that I'm building on inside my own head, sort of. The more that I see the characters that I want to make, the more that I see those, the more that I realize that there are there are big connotations of what I believe in the world that already exists today. God damn it. And also there are big that exists in what I want to make. Oh,
Real bad. I gotta go.
Oh, give me a break.
the reality of what really people think exists sometimes and what actually exists can differ, though. Like huge amounts of what people actually think exists in their own lives or in their own spaces sometimes, as far as what they actually believe and what they believe in. They can very much have some huge differentiations as far as people who enjoy something or enjoy or entertain an idea, as much as people who actually believe in that idea fully, or unfruitfully believe in that idea. And there are also people themselves who have gone through so much harassment and bigotry, or abuse, I guess, that don't know the difference between, or not don't know the difference, but understand the difference, but find ways to live in both environments. No matter what kind of person that that you are, whoever you decide to be, whoever you are as a person, realize that through your own life, there are acceptances of there are acceptances of speech that people themselves don't understand. When an argument becomes one-sided, it seeks entertainment. Basically, that's the reason why I'm seeking a discussion. But when an argument ceases to be entertaining is when an argument ceases to be fulfilling. When every part of an argument starts becoming more of a when every part of a relationship becomes more of an indecent exposure instead of a instead of a decent habit. When you start to build on what you have, you start to make something better and start to realize that you're more mature because of the things you build, because of the relationships that you realize aren't yours, but you're a part of. And within that, you realize where you can divide or multiply, or where your cells themselves can multiply and where another person's cells themselves fuse with yours. Or where a possibility exists for that to happen. And not just an inevitability. Because there's no such thing as an inevitability within those bounds. The realization that there's more to life than just being someone. Or just seeing someone. When you actually experience everything that they have to offer in the bounds of giving and receiving.
Williams, you're requesting guidance. Where'd they go? Run!
Within that relationship, you'll start to realize a non-inevitability but realizing your responsibility. And within your responsibility,
Dispatch, we have the suspect in sight.
be able to realize the fact that something itself was never an inevitability.
Suspect last seen west of, the Redwood Lights motocross track.
That some things in themselves were never to be happening, or... Damn it. Fucked up. And also to realize that, that you can't build an inevitability. Or you can't build a responsible relationship. Or even a responsible storyline. On something that feels forced. Not anything that having to do with something you called force. When you actually build something, when you actually see something through, you'll start to see something for yourself. You'll start to realize that people make their own storylines, sometimes every day. They create their dragons, and then they try to defeat them. They, so to speak, set them up, then let them fall. Some for evil reasons, and some for good reasons. But the more you realize that they're within that storyline, within that life, if you enjoy that creation, if you enjoy that spot, if you enjoy that spotlight in some ways, then maybe in some ways that relationship was meant for you. Meant. for you. Not written in stone. But meant for you to experience. And through that, in one case, people themselves might be able to divide with you. It's what they think about whenever there was in the 80s, they thought people would got the words or got what the words meant. Sometimes, I'll stop the world and melt with you. It's like, what do those words mean? What did that artist seem to think those words meant to him? Maybe the person who wrote them thought that they meant I'll quit thinking about all my problems and try not to make new ones with you. I'll quit thinking about the world and we'll start thinking about you for a change. The biggest difference that I see in people sometimes is the fact that if something itself they believe in or don't believe in from that beginning part, if the moments aren't right, then they themselves walk away from the relationship. And it's not healthy sometimes. In a realistic sense of the word, it's completely unhealthy. Realizing that the relationship itself, through adulthood, is I don't try to think that people are going to change. I don't try to force people to think like I do. That's probably why I myself have not been able to do the things that I really want to do so far. Or maybe it's the fact that I myself want to believe in something that builds on a narrative, or that builds on some sort of and in my realist of situations, I care, but also know that in my best interests, I don't. That within that allegory or within that metaphor of me realizing my own boundaries of empathy, realize that you can make a better day through yourself. And though it's hard, and though you may need someone to help you, you don't need someone to hold your hand along the way. You don't need someone telling you exactly how to think and feel. Because that's not what a relationship is. If ever it ever comes to that. And realizing that if you're not feeling something true or honest in a relationship, if you're not literally, emotionally feeling something every day that gives you fulfillment, then maybe that relationship seeks either counseling or seeks an end. I had to realize that. I had to realize that through and through. And actually see myself with that person 10 years down the road. Would they still be doing the same kind of stuff that they wanted to do out of sheer thought that that's what they were supposed to do? Or through thinking about that person constantly and knowing that person inside and out, and realizing the stresses that I went through every day, don't I deserve to feel supported? Not only just a roof above my head. Because if I just want a roof above my head, I'll get a job and do it myself. If I just want someone to bring home the bacon, then I'll appoint my mom as my payee, which I've actually done because my mom brings home the bacon for me sometimes. Because I'm on disability and I'm desperately trying to get off. Constantly and forever. Always trying to get off of disability, and I'm always on it because it sucks and it's stupid and I hate it. Because I want to buy my own insurance one day. Because I want to be able to afford my own surgeries. Because I want to be able to afford my own life. Because I want dental insurance. That doesn't just call for 2 extractions that I might have to pay for. Because I don't want to do art in a shed and breathe some harsh chemical that I would be doing, and if I was in a freaking and it may seem like it's good now, or it may seem like it's all good now, and if you're doing art, then you gotta freaking no, I don't have to destroy myself for my art. I don't have to constantly feel tense about something. I constantly feel be in the moment to be able to create something amazing. I just need the thing that someone wants me to draw, and the stuff to be able to draw it. That's all that I ever needed. And I can think around things. I can think around not having a certain brush, or I can think around not having a certain kind of paint, because I can just mix 2 together and then make that paint. Now, there are some paints that don't mix. Fortunately, I have bought both kinds, and I am able to realize which paints mix and don't mix. Any paint with a latex inside of it doesn't mix. A latex or a polyurethane, I guess, to be able to give it that shiny lacquer sort of thing. Sometimes those paints don't mix. I think that what people don't understand when they go into a relationship, or even go into something that they would believe would be amazing for them, what they don't really understand sometimes is different situations. Putting the love of what you have of a different person in different situations. God damn. I thought I was going to be able to make it. And also practice of thoughts and emotions and things, to be able to realize that the thought behind an emotion is pushing you to do something stupid or dumb, and realizing that thought behind whatever emotion that is isn't helping you realize a thing. Now, I myself, people would wonder why I'm not in Mardi Gras. Because I realized over time that the amount of crowds that was actually in Mardi Gras was extremely alarming for my own psyche. And then I have, over a period of time, created, and not an allergy, but a hefty fear of crowds, because of the amount of shit that's actually happened inside of them. My fear of a zombie apocalypse in a crowd of people who have short to long sleeves on, or are barely dressed or capable to be able to withhold what a biological chemical warfare would happen if there was a zombie apocalypse. I.e. zombie apocalypse. Yes. It scares me. And also, there are other reasons why. Because I don't know people sometimes. I feel comfortable around my friends, around people that I know, around people that I've experienced before. I'm sometimes not even extroverted enough to be able to go to the movies sometimes. So you would imagine my love for parades exceeds my hate of crowds. I imagine if I was going to a bar or going to a friend's house or going to someplace, then if I saw a parade, I'd be like, hey, give me some beads, it's great. That would be awesome. But also realizing that, I'd have to understand, and that people would have to understand, that there is a great difference between experiencing the entirety of a parade and saying, hey, give me some beads or some cups. I desperately need cups because I'm probably getting my own apartment soon. Did a cartwheel. We are going to jump inside of the train. Goddamn. There we go. Or not. I've also realized that there are big limitations to what I actually want to do and how I actually want to do it. There are big reasons why I want to do something that was awesome, actually. That's amazing. There are big reasons why I want to be able to create something that speaks to another person, and it has a lot to do with not a hive mentality, but an individualistic approach, because realizing that just creating character symbolism, it takes years, and I just hit my mic. And also too, it takes time for people to be able to create their own characters sometimes. It takes thought, I guess, and not a lot of time, but the thought, definitely, a lot of thought. And I don't want to like come up with a formula or anything like that, but it's stuff that I'm assuming. All these things can change probably at some point or another. But that's what I believe is going on inside of my own head right now. Being able to create some sort of character that can basically state the obvious or state the not so obvious sometimes too. Oh, I just cracked my entire body. Or upper torso. Oh, man. I like to believe sometimes that, that there aren't reasons for people doing things. I don't get on bandwagons. It's not a thing that I do. And if I get on bandwagons, it's not for a long time. The longest running show that I've ever watched is, I think it's Funhouse on YouTube. And that has nothing to do with the platform, but it has everything to do with the fact that I think that they have good quality quality stuff. But also, too, it has a lot to do with the fact of them being funny and being able to not take that many things seriously. And also reminding me of my older and younger brother when we used to play video games when I was like 10 or 15. When I was 10 or 11. And the fact that I used to punch my brother in the arm. And he used to hit me too. And my older brother used to choke me out until I fell asleep. Of course, I had to fake falling asleep in order for him to. It sounds like it's not like I'm telling not the truth, but that's literally what I did. My brother will always tell you that. Yeah, you sure you were faking? And I'm just like, yeah, I was faking. I did that to I had to think quickly, and that's what I did. I thought quickly because I did not want my older brother to make me pass out. I just faked like I was sleeping. But the reality that sets in for me sometimes, or the lack of motivation that sets in for me sometimes is what if it all gets taken away? What if everything that I'm saying is for completely no one else but someone else that stumbles upon it, and I don't get to be a part of the projects that I so desperately want to be a part of? That's my biggest fear for my creations. For the creations that I make and the things that I want to do with myself. And what if through all of those different things I'm left alone and I want to be able to create something for myself and to be able to make to inspire.
Miss me!
Come on, hurry, come on, shit! God damn it! I started off wanting to pronounce my words correctly. I started off seeing what I saw on TV and realizing that that was the way that most people spoke. I started off then realizing that that's not the way that all people spoke in the region that I spoke English or spoken word. And then I started to realize that I was turned off of something. That if I really wanted to be able to be a part of something, if I wanted to be able to be a part of someone's life that liked the same stuff that I liked. Not someone who was just happy in me doing that things. But someone who was like, hey, give me the controller. I want to play too. It's going to take me a while to be able to get to that point with someone ever again, because I actually thought that I might actually be able to experience that outside of a relationship. But then I realized that the person that I was devoting my time to had been hurt and needed time to heal, and through no fault of her own or my own, she needed to feel empowered. Because she was always our sex was kind of one-sided. I was always on top most of the time. And when she was on top, it's like she didn't even like it. She felt like there wasn't enough of anything. But also I realized that I was doing work. Not work itself, but I was a stay-at-home husband, basically. And she, all she could be was stressed out over the fact that she had gotten abused by someone who had come before me, or used by someone that came before me, and abused, and she wasn't thinking about me. She was thinking about herself, and if she was thinking about herself, then I wanted her to be by herself, to be able to have time to think about herself. I didn't want her to think that it was over in her mind, and then still be around me, and then hate me for some odd years. I'm gonna go blow something up because it's fun.
You look fucked up.
Seeing if we had any grenade launchers, grenades in my grenade launcher. Building on every single substance about yourself, every single part of what you want for yourself. But realizing too that if she felt like that around me, no matter what happened to her before, she wasn't acting responsibly and I wasn't acting responsibly getting with her, to be able to just have a fling, or to be able to be running from something, like wanting a family and wanting something to build on. But also in the same sense, I don't want that to happen again. I don't want, I'm very completely and utterly, very much so, like, critical and unbelievably, what's the word, I'm very critical about what I get myself into as far as my own relationship. I'm very snooty. I want I want persons I am caveman. I want person like video game. I am a Native American, and I like video games. And I like all these video games because they're something that was created with me in mind.
For fuck's sakes! No way!
It was created with what I wanted to make in mind. Stupid, absurd, and dumb, and completely and utterly violent. Because a lot of times this stuff actually calms me. It calms me down from saying something stupid or mean to someone who I thought didn't deserve it in the first place. It's a therapy tool. It's getting out your deepest and most hard-hitting sub-secrets. It gets out those things and it puts them in the forefront of your brain, and it tells you to look at them and realize how absolutely stupid they are. Any radio station on this entire video game can tell you that any subset of thinking where you either don't believe in yourself or don't believe in someone else. Realizing that
Suspect on foot.
10-4.
realizing that there are so many
Suspect
different
northbound
ways to experience this medium, and realizing that yes, in true form, in very true form, this is art, and also literally more so than any other like even more than weed. It's like it would be a better economic stimulant if people themselves would just open themselves up to being able to realize that there is not a locality of jobs inside of this market, but an almost I'd say as much as there are people, there is an ability to be able to create jobs every so often, if you were just to be able to create any sort of market about it, you know, just like create a market. I don't know, I really like this stuff. Not to say that I'd ever become violent or anything like that, because I wouldn't. I would never. I'd walk away from the situation if I ever felt like I had a violent part about me, about to do something, or about to say something, or about to mean something mean, or something like that. I'd walk away completely. Also saying that I've had thoughts of wanting to punch someone in the fucking face sometimes. But those thoughts themselves I suppress with stuff like this, because it's not a part of me. It's not a part of who I am, and I myself am non-violent. But also I've taught myself to be able to be non-violent through a stimulant of being able to defend myself. Through judo, through kung fu, and a lot of different other stuff, I've been able to make sure that I myself don't go down the path of violence and realize or try to reap what I sow, because that's what happens to people who go through the path of violence. and realize that no matter what they're saying, no matter how they're saying it, no matter what way they're saying it wrong if it's not the way that I want to say it. And I don't judge them for that, because it's the way that they want to say it. And it goes back to individualistic thinking, for me. Individualistic thinking, for me. I realize that I'm not in the best I'm not in the best of situations sometimes, because of the fact that sometimes markets were closed off to different people, and I guess only for the simple fact that sometimes people's cultures themselves would blend in with other people's cultures, and in some cases some people wanted to see that be able to be some sort of rainbow of cultures, I guess. I myself see where people themselves decide that they're going to create where people themselves decide that they're going to make a difference, where people themselves decide that they're going to create an economy, where people can come of all races and nationalities and be able to create something new, but also realize what's already there and respect it. Not an information hub, not big, but a hub of creativity and knowledge-based economism. I'm gonna blow something up. There we go. I'm gonna do something cool. I'm gonna go up real high, then I'm gonna jump. It's gonna be cool. Gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. I'm gonna go up real high in the sky, then I'm gonna jump out. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. There we go. Ready to go forward. Fucking badass. I'm amazing. I'm at a bar.
We have a civilian requiring assistance.
Damn it, it's closed.
On Algonquin Boulevard and Sandy Shores.
Wonderful. Yeah, my tax dollars hard at work.
Citizens report a vehicle explosion on Algonquin Boulevard. Marina Drive.
Shit. Also, I mean,
Dispatch, we got eyes on the target. Moving to engage.
son of a bitch. Realize it's a big world out there. 74 million miles in diameter. Give or take. It's a big world. And an even bigger universe. There's so many opportunities to be able to create and to be able to make something happen. And all my euphemisms I did get from some people on Funhouse, but I wanted to learn how to make it anyways. I wanted to learn how to make some cheesy, but I myself wanted to make compelling thought to be able to be added to this kind of discussion, to be able to put some method to a madness that is this video game sometimes, and it just so happens there were people that decided that they could mess with me, and they in some cases were my friends, and also not my friends because they're stupid and they're dumb. But God damn it. No, I don't know them. I don't know anybody on here. I don't know how to do things sometimes on YouTube. I just know that I wanted to stream and I wanted to put something on the internet and put something behind it to be able to talk about myself and to talk about the things that I really wanted to talk about. And I don't want to make stupid thumbnails. They're not stupid, but I don't want to make thumbnails. I don't want to have thumbnails on my thing. I think that it would give people the wrong idea about me, and then because I droll on sometimes, and I really want someone that can actually take a good drolling or a good lecture, or people that would actually want to be able to create something. Because I realize how many people go to college, and I realize how many people talk about theology and existentialism and a whole bunch of different stuff like that, and I just want to create a basis for that. Kind of like a, I don't know, just a discussion, I guess. And but also too, I realize that there are so many different creators on so many different platforms and stuff like that. But I also realize that there is I also realize that there are people out there that just don't give a shit, and also think that that any theological thing shouldn't be talked about. And to them, I say, I have a message board, and it's right there if they want to message me. So. I'm probably gonna crash. And yeah, I am. Crash. The basis of what I put through conjunction, or the basis that I put through everyday emotion, is a big part of myself, and that big part is what gives me it's what gives me it's what gives me the ability to think proactively. It's what gives me the ability to think that it's a big world, and it's full of possibilities. And those possibilities themselves aren't on the whole positive. But I also know that the life itself that we live is what we make it. So if you want to make it positive, if you want to do something positive, then think positively. And you'll wind up realizing your goals and making sure that those goals themselves damn it. Those goals themselves are what you create. And I don't want to quote any movies because I'm not stupid. If you have any opinions about that, message me. You know? No. Woo! Oh. So yeah. Also, there's people out there that are assholes. Those people don't deserve shit. So fuck those guys. No, fuck those guys. But those guys can get fucked. You know? And that's the only thing they'll be fucked. Because they'll be out in the middle of nowhere where it's hard to do something, and they'll have to find a matchstick out of a cacti, and have to create a fire out of Not to say that is whatever has been done to anyone or anything like that, but they can get fucked. Like, those people can go somewhere else and enjoy the idiocy of non-inspiration. And one day they might get inspired. You never know. And they'll create something, and they'll sectionalize the entire United States. Wait, that already happened! Also, if you realize that you if you realize that if you compost at all, realize that you can't stand next to noxious fumes. It's like after 3 to 5 weeks of a compost happening, you have to stay at least 20 to 50 feet away and have it into an enclosed space that has what's the word, yeah, it has to be in an enclosed space. That's what's the word? That people are gonna realize that composting is sometimes hard for your health because you're breathing in noxious fumes because of, like, a banana peel itself after about 3 months or 4 months itself can give off a noxious fume. Cashew shells themselves, when mixed with water or anything that breaks them down, as it breaks down, it gives off a noxious fume. And sometimes it can make people pass out or make them sick or anything like that. So if there are any, like, there's gonna have to be a business of that. So just a thought, you know, just thoughts happening.
This is a fine automobile.
Hi, Jack. Oh.
But yeah, that's what happens when you make compost. That's what happens at landfills a lot. That's the reason why they're controlled by the city most of the time, and also the coroner's office too, because it can actually cause animals to die if they feed off of it. And so be careful when you compost. Also, too, if the food source of an animal dies, then one animal will start to get more predatory. That's the reason why, and then people themselves don't understand that that they'll cut off access to certain areas to be able to allow a natural resource or a natural environment to be able to exist. And to be able to exist on its own, sometimes. Like wolves themselves, that hunt in packs, their smell themselves are indignant to their individual pack. So it's like basically animals themselves become domesticated no matter what. It's natural to be able to have animals which domesticated, basically. I don't have any explosives. God damn it.
Go, get us out of here. For it.
All units be advised. We've got a report of an armed car hijack. Units respond code 3.
Holy cow!
But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of reasons why you shouldn't compost by yourself, or Be responsible, and this country will be very, very fruitful for you. Be irresponsible, and people will know it the world over. Because people talk. And no, not everybody talks too much. Because
Officers report
people talk, and they're supposed to.
Great Ocean Highway in Chumash.
So, realize that.
Miles per hour
You know?
and
also,
green pickup.
No, I'm terrible. I'm stupid. I'm gonna run this off the road, and then I'm gonna explode it
Entering the freeway.
because I get a boost from these coppers. So.
Well, I'll be fucked.
Awesome. Alright, that's it. These are my game therapy rants, if anyone ever wants to listen. If you ever listen, then that's cool. If you ever want to, that's awesome. And if you ever give me a comment saying that you like it, that's cool. If you ever want to make sure that you're a part of these message boards, realize that I'll probably get on Twitter maybe at some point. But I don't want to. It's like, I don't know. Oh, man. It'll be tight. It'll be cool. And tight is like everything wrapped up in a bow. Like a gift, basically. A gift that's tight, amazing. That's all wrapped up and completely organized. Unbelievably organized. That's what I like. I need to clean my room. God damn it. Alright. Talk to you later. Have a good one.